Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm here a little bit early this morning, but that's okay. Got up early and came on down to the office. Um, I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about Jesus' name, or I want to talk to you about the little um, Jesus Christ. That phrase. It's not a phrase. It's name, title, name and title. It's the point I want to make. But I want to talk to you about Jesus Christ. So it's actually, we use it like almost like a first and last name, Jesus Christ. But it's not. In fact, Christ is not a name. Christ is a title. And really, more appropriately, it should be Jesus the Christ, because the word Christ describes who he is and tells who he is, and it is his title. You see, the word Christ literally means the anointed one. And it is the one who God has promised to send. The word Christ is the one that the Hebrew people were looking for all of their lives, that they knew that one day God was going to send one called the Messiah. They called him the Messiah or the Christ, either one. This one was going to come, and he was going to defeat the enemy, and he would defeat sin, and he would redeem his people. And so ever since Genesis chapter 3, ever since the fall of man, Adam and Eve back in the Garden of Eden, God promised way back then for the very first time that one day he was going to send someone who was going to defeat the enemy and defeat sin. And the Hebrew people have looked for this one throughout the ages. That's why so many prophecies are fulfilled in Jesus, because the prophecies are about the Christ. They are about the Messiah, the anointed one. They are about the one whom God was going to send, who was going to deliver them, who was going to redeem them, who was going to bring forgiveness of sin, and who was going to defeat the enemy. All right. So that's why Jesus fulfills so many of these, because he is the Christ. But they were prophesying about this Christ who was going to come. They have always believed he was going to come. They have always known that God was going to send him. And so this word Christ is actually the title that tells everybody that this is the one that God is sending. This is the anointed one. This is the Messiah. This is the one who's going to save his people, defeat the enemy, and deliver from sin. He is Jesus the Christ. Jesus of Nazareth is Jesus the Christ. And so it's not just about where I'm going with this. It's not just about us, trying to believe in Jesus as some, great rabbi or some great moral teacher or even some great miracle worker or even some great prophet. He's none of those. Who he is the Christ. He is the anointed one whom God was sending to redeem his people. And our belief must be in Jesus, who is the Christ. 1 John chapter 5, verse 1. He says, whoever believes that Jesus is the Christ is born of God. You see, we have to believe that Jesus is the Christ, the anointed one, the Messiah, the one that God sent to take away our sin and to defeat the enemy. The rest of that verse says, and everyone who loves him who begot, talking about God the Father, everyone who loves him who begot also loves him who is begotten of him, and that is Jesus the Christ. If you love God, you love Jesus, because Jesus the Christ was sent by God, and he was begotten of God, and he was the Son of God. I don't know if that got a little deep. I tried to explain it just as clear as I could, but it is about Jesus the Christ. Remember that. Next time you want to say Jesus Christ, remember, Christ is not his name. It is his title. It is who he is. He is Jesus the Christ, the anointed one, the Messiah, the one sent by God to deliver us from our sin and from the enemy. God bless you guys. Get out there in faith today.